Pick this on the FM. Feel free to ask questions and definitely share this out. Let me know what you got going on today. Good morning. This is KHEA 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy, and I have a guest who is more like maybe even more in studio than I am, but Dr. Aaron Chapa is here today, and I'm excited to share a message of health and healing without the use of drugs and surgery with you today. Dr. Chapa, how's it going?
It's going great, Gardy. It's good to be here. It is a glorious, wonderful Tuesday. I'm glad to be in studio with you, and as usual, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is designed to find the underlying cause of disease and to create solutions for people that have been suffering for who knows how long with all kinds of different situations and ailments that range from stuff that happens in our youth to things that develop over time and hit us in our prime, or even, get us in our elderly years. And what we want to find or create for people is a solution that is a drug-free, surgery-free environment for people to really maximize their body's healing potential. And it has just been an absolute, blessing to have the skills and the tools given into my hands to give back to people. And I never take it for granted that I see miracles in my practice every day. And it is literally amazing to watch how many people come in suffering with whatever it is they're suffering with, and it could be something off the wall, like some sort of emotional trauma from their youth that set them on a track of being a high-level anxiety type person, or it could be digestive distress due to food allergies, or it could be their body. They went on a trip and they came back with some sort of bug, or they just have a weak immune system because their gene code just wasn't expressing because it was lacking nutrients. And finding those answers for people, I have to always remind myself that it is not common knowledge that food is medicine. It's not common knowledge that water heals and detoxifies and nourishes and strengthens. And so I always just want to remind people of the basics. All life starts and stops where?
On the cellular level.
That's right. And nutrition drives the ship. And we want to make sure that people are getting good quality nutrition, and they want to maximize their gene expression so that their longevity curve is that long, that their vitality curve is filled with Vim, Vigor, and Vip. And it gets people excited and fired up. And when people stick with the programs that we build for them long enough and they follow the recommendations for which the program's been laid out, they get results. And that's what we want. We want people to have results, that we want them to have hope. We want them to be assured that their body, whatever it is dealing with, can heal.
You had mentioned something about a body being in its prime. I'm sure that prime would be different for everybody, but if somebody's never truly lived, I guess, like a healthy life, or they think something's normal, then their prime could be even whenever they're 60, 70 years old, because they never really truly lived in a cleaner way, I guess.
Sure, absolutely. And that's another really cool experience to watch people that have suffered all their lives with different conditions or symptoms or challenges or diagnoses. Mm-hmm. They've been on medications. They've been through what we call the medical ringer. And then we put them on a path. And to see that body respond just by nourishing it is truly a phenomenal thing to observe, and the body turns on. Now, there is a too late. You can wait too late, but then I also say that tongue in cheek because I had a 95-year-old with Alzheimer's for 15 years, so 80 to 95. And through good nutrition, through supplementation, through detoxification, we were able to, in 6 months, give him 2 solid years where he was present. He wasn't in that state of distress in his mind, and he was having conversations at family functions and family reunions that he wouldn't and hadn't had for 15 years. So, who are we to think that a person there is a too late. You know,
Put a limitation on something.
yeah, that's just something that I think that the devil wants us to do is, oh, well, you've been like this your whole life and you're doomed to it. But we know that, when if we were created by the hands that created the world, God Almighty, and if Christ is, by his stripes we are healed and is called the great physician, this body will line up with the way that it was created to function at the cellular level, at the organ level, at the glandular level. And I was talking with a mentor friend of mine recently, and he was responding to a message I had sent to him many weeks, months ago, and it was just weird. I had asked him one question, and then he answers that sporadic, right in the moment, and then, oh, by the way, here's the answer to your question from 2 months ago. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that wasn't important.
Better late than never.
That's right. Better late than never. But I was doing a study on clinical burnout or career burnout, which leads people to midlife crises, that leads people to make mistakes, that lead to colossal mistakes, and that can completely derail their path in their middle-aged life, and how to avoid burnout for people, whether if you're like in my world, clinical burnout, or if you're in the just job world, because every job has demands and deadlines and stresses, and people have to navigate that stuff. And how do they, keep burnout from happening? And one of the areas is, number one, you need a dream team of people that you can depend on to help you navigate whatever the challenges of life are. You need counsel. The Proverbs say many, people with many counsel, with much counsel are wise. So, to think that we're designed to go through this life on our own, or to not subject ourselves to people looking at our lives at a intimate level and giving us insights. Because if you look at your own path and your own way, and you never let anybody pour into you, you're so emotionally attached to yourself, you will rationalize bad behavior. I mean, it's sad to think that you would allow yourself to slip down the slippery slope through erosion.
Yeah, why would I be wrong?
That's
right?
right.
Justify things. I'm guilty of it.
And we all are, for sure. And but the key, I think, you got to remember, you're a product of the people you hang around. You're a product of the books and CDs you listen to. You're a product of the food quality that you eat. We've got to be mindful that what we put in as our inputs, in all facets, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, all impacts us in different ways. And so we need lots of neurological stimulation. Our nervous system wants fuel and stimulation. That's what it wants. That's what it needs. Two things: fuel and stimulation. And you might go, well, the advertisement says that this is everything that I need in a candy bar. Oh, well, sorry to say that it doesn't meet the true demands that your body's asking for. Nothing below your taste buds wants that candy bar, that junk food, that garbage. There's we've got to be better. We got to be smarter than that. Otherwise, I love Jim Rohn. I love quoting Jim Rohn. Art of Exceptional Living, great CD set, and truly is probably one of the most influential things that I've listened to over the years. And but he says, it's not a Hershey bar a day that keeps the doctor away, right? It's not. And although good marketing tells us it is a Hershey bar a day, a chocolate bar,
just grab it.
Just grab it. It'll serve you in the moment. But the reality is, it's an apple a day is what keeps the doctor away. Why? Because inside the apple, there's nutrients, phytochemicals that can serve. They can, the fiber can help the GI tract. The apple pectin can soften stones and release congestion. There's life in that food, and it's not just an apple. It's vegetables. Really would be even a better way to say it. It just doesn't flow as well, and nobody gets fired up about taking a cucumber to your teacher, they take an apple.
Yeah.
Here, Mrs. McGillicuddy, I wanted to give you some squash. I mean, it's just not as cool. Although, I guess if you took two giant, like an acorn squash or a spaghetti squash, and said, "Here, Mrs. McGillicuddy, try that on for size," and she would probably be like, I don't even know how to cut those open. You know what I mean?
Is your dad Dr. Chapa?
Yeah, that's right. But I think one of the critical keys in making sure that you manage and avoid burnout, whatever industry you're in, and this is one of the, and I was happy to hear my mentor say this, because he's never not said this. This is his foundational principle, the core of core. And we've talked about it on the show before, but just to reiterate, the power of the endocrine axis. The endocrine axis, and I'm not saying access like ACCESS. I'm axis, AXIS. The pillar of pillars, the glandular system. The hypothalamus lives in your brain, and your pituitary in your brain, your thyroid in and around the neck, the adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys, your gonadal system that is in your pelvis. Each one of these systems synergistically works together to keep you robust, that keeps you motivated, that keeps you creative, that keeps you going and navigating the challenges of life, so that you're in process. You're never stuck in a rut. Well, because what happens is, if you try to solve problems at the same level that the problems are created, you will find yourself wanting, because you can't get out of it. Goes back to that rationalizing bad behavior. You've got to go associate from a different angle. You've got to walk away from the situation. You've got to get a different perspective. And that's why we need a dream team. And so we need a dream team of people in our lives, a dream team of books and CDs in our lives. We need a dream team of nutrition in our lives. We need a dream team of coaches that can help, kick us in the pants and say, dude, like, stop doing that, garbage that you're doing. I mean, because it's going to cost you. And it does cost people. And the question really becomes, like, how much does it cost? I mean, because some people are fortunate. I saw a fella this past week, and his situation isn't much that I probably want to share on the radio, but it's amazing that he only had one GI symptom, only one. It was pretty disgusting and bad, but it was one GI symptom. Mm-hmm. He was a thin fellow. He was a successful fellow. He never had headaches, never fatigued. He did have some anxiety, anger, and depression type symptom patterns as well. But he masked those with medications and has made it through career life into retirement, masking. But you brought up a good point a moment ago. Like, what if he never knows what true health looks like? But because he only had that one symptom that he felt was like the reason for getting somebody to help him, that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the glandular action. He doesn't care about longevity, vim, vigor, and vip. I mean, he's retired. He made it through the grind, if you will. And but what if the truth of the centenarian is true? And centenarian, guys, is anything that anybody that lives to be 100 years old. And every centenarian says that you have to have three key factors. They've done 30-year studies on this, that they all have three major commonalities. There's a lot of commonalities, but three major ones that kind of rose to the surface, the cream that rose up, right? And they had something to live for, each and every one of them. Whether it was God, whether it was a kid, whether it was a husband, wife, whether it was just life in itself, they had something to live for. And it wasn't, necessarily a self-indulgence. It was like something was driving them out from the outside. Again, that dream team. And the second thing was that they weren't on any medications. They were drug-free. And so I always encourage my mother, because in her her early 70s right now, she is healthier now, in my opinion, than she was in her 50s. You know, she was on six medications and a hormone in her 50s, and she was bloated and I would say body was not as happy as it seems to be now. She's still active, agile. She's she's not stopping because she's 73 and widowed, right? I mean, she's onward, upward, goodward, and Godward. She bought in. She's also been a good guinea pig for me, and God bless her. And if you're listening, God bless you. I love you. And, and truly, because I mean, she has done more. Her and I were vegan raw vegan for 6 months. Where I mean, could you imagine? All we ate was raw. Now she might have been eating burgers on the side that when I wasn't around. I don't know. She probably won't ever fetch. She'll take that to the grave.
Yeah.
But she was a good sport. She did detox programs with me, and she allowed me to work on her and be frustrated when I couldn't get joints to move, and or get frustrated with her whenever she would keep sucking down a cola or something, and I'd be like, "Come on, woman, stop it," But it's okay because she's in the game and she's actively working at it, and that's what we really want people to see, because the centenarian not only has something to live for and is on no medications. That's where my mom is right now, on no medications. And the last thing is that they have no issues with their teeth, meaning that you better take care of those pearly whites. And the old dental, slogan that says floss the ones that you want to keep is an important factor. I had a lady come in yesterday, and finally, I'm so thankful, truly. I've been working with her a long time, been on her about some teeth work that needed to be done. Lots and lots of infection in her mouth that was left to time, unfortunately, and no work. And the teeth did not get better, So there's sometimes this is a point where we had to do some other level of intervention, unfortunately, because I did some homework around that idea of no teeth or no issues with the teeth, and the answer wasn't that they had no issues with their teeth. In some respects, it's that they had no teeth. They had no problems because they didn't have teeth. Okay, so and so it's just fascinating because they weren't carrying the immunological burden that was zapping their electrical neurological system and plaguing their glandular axis, or plaguing their detoxification pathway, or congesting the lymphatic lines, and trash was just building up and piling up on the roadside and causing fermentation and percolation and illness and disease inside. I know I try to paint these pictures because I really want you to get it, that there is stuff going on inside your body right now that you've got to be mindful of, even if you don't have a major diagnosis. Remember, in the beginning, disease is easy to fix, but hard to recognize. So let's pluck the weeds out as little weeds, and it's just a little gentle stretch of our back as we lean over, pluck that weed out of the ground, as opposed to having to hire a tree service to come out and pull with strings and pulleys to lower branches out of the sky because the tree is so ginormous. Because in the end, disease is easy to recognize, hard to fix. And we don't want it to be hard to fix because everybody wants a microwave fix. They want it like yesterday, So they had no issues with their teeth, and so this gal had, because she was afraid, she's going to lose her entire top palate. We have to lose all of her teeth on the top, and she got one taken out this past week, one, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I let me back up. I feel amazing. Like, I feel more energy. I feel more mental clarity. I mean, when you looked at her, it looked like she lost weight. One tooth, Gardy. She's got a mouthful of infection. One infectious burden plucked out, and boom, the system goes, relief. And it kicked on in ways, like you said earlier. What if we're missing out on the vim, vigor, and vib, the vitality curve that could be if we would just take care of our bodies, right? And the average centenarian says that your best years are between 60 and 95. Your best years. So, again, I go back to, it doesn't matter how old you are. The great Gary Knoll, God bless him, he's a great nutritionist from the way back whens, and he says that age is nothing more than a silly number. And it's your choices, your lifestyle, your influences that drive you towards your best version of yourself. We just had a sign up at our office that you said, make your life the best that it can be. But it all comes down to it's your life, your health, your choice. I hate to put that bitter pill back on you because it is. It's your choice. And it's your life influenced by your choices, because if you make enough mistakes along the way, it could lead up to what? Mistake colossal, where you have enough negatives that derail you to a point. But never get hopeless, because anything your body can develop, it can
undeveloped.
Man, I feel like I'm just, we're singing off the same sheet of music, Artie. It's so fun. And that's how we know we really are starting to get it, when we can finish each other's sandwiches. Oh, sentences. And
Yeah.
I wonder if anybody got that one. God bless you. If you know where that came from, go ahead and tap it in to the chat log.
I want to say it, but I won't.
Yeah, let everybody else play the game. And remember, with these shows, like, subscribe to our podcast channels. Look us up on all the different venues. Gardy will tell us in a moment, so that you can share it with your friends, your family, and your loved ones. They need to hear messages like this. They need to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they can be better, they can live better, and they're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth putting some time and energy into. You're worth putting a little bit of money into. Or a lot of money, depends on where you're at. I mean, you pay now or you pay later, but remember, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we want to make sure that you're investing right now, because we know the story. If when's the best time to plant the old oak tree?
30 years ago.
It is. I mean, it's just, if we only had, my son was asking me the other day, he goes, which superpower would you want? Would you want teleportation or to have, like, access to time?
Mm.
And I'm like, I said, couldn't I use my teleportation to go through time? And he goes, nope, because the time is being able to go back. And teleportation is just, hey, instead of me being 5 minutes late to that, place I was supposed to be, I could have teleported there and bypassed all of the stuff that was in my way, or I could have just left 15 minutes earlier. I don't know, you know what I mean? Again, your life, your health, your choice. And so, but the next best time to plant that oak tree is today, absolutely. And so today's your day. Make today count. When you look at the average meal consumption of a human, they average the same 11 to 15 meals over and over and over again. And so it might be, Taco Tuesday. It might be Pizza Thursday. It might be Mexican food Wednesdays. It might be, Wine Night Fridays. It might be, celebratory makeup celebration Saturday. I don't know. I mean, people have their rituals and they have their, the processes. And, some people even will say that, you're so self-consumed if you won't go out and, have a good time with the friends and loved ones and whatever. But the reality is it comes down to, it's your life, your health, your choice. And nobody truly appreciates what's going on in other people's body, because they don't have to deal with other people's stuff, right? They don't have to deal with the rash. They don't have to deal with the wound that won't heal. They don't have to deal with the fact that they have to wrestle with losing their entire top palate. They don't have to deal with migraines that keep them, isolated, locked up in their room, wishing that they were dead, or that, they needed some sort of, medication to knock them out. You know what I mean? Like, people really are suffering with stuff. And so it's easy to peer pressure other people into going down the slippery slope with you, right? It's always a little tougher to make the climb, or to ride on wings like eagles. That's what the Bible tells us to do, is to always ride on the wings of eagles, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, to ride high, to live, above the funk, the filth, the trash, the nasty now and now. And so we're dealing with it, whether it's stress. Stress is like the worst word. It's like become my 4-lettered word, because it is like a catch-all for many things. And I hate blaming stuff on stress, but I recognize its influence on the biochemistry. I recognize that it literally sucks minerals out of a person. It causes people to crave things that they wouldn't otherwise crave. It causes people to make bad decisions over and over again. And so if we can help people regulate their stress pathway so that they can manage the stress curveballs of life, because, guys, in the world we're living in,
It's coming.
It's coming. Guarantee that it is coming. And if you don't have some challenges and struggles that push you to be better, that are what we call eustress, EU stress, not distress, destructive stress. We don't want destructive stress, but stress in and of itself can be a beneficial thing. Going to the gym can be a beneficial thing. Hot cold therapy can be a beneficial thing. In far, mid, near infrared saunas is a beneficial thing. Putting yourself into a detox program is a beneficial thing. These healthy stresses allow the body to figure out how to build better neural brain, hormonal connections, nerves that fire together, wire together. We need to build an infrastructure in the biochemistry through the stimulation of our nervous system and the feeding of our nervous system, because that will bridge into our endocrine axis. We've got to have both the nervous system intact at a very high level and potency, and we have to have our endocrine system intact at a very high level of potency so that you can be potent. And we want you to be impotent, not impotent, but like impotent, you know. And so when your body is potent and it has the push to be creative, you're going to create. When it has the push to dream bigger, you're going to be a visionary. Whenever it's the leader that leads versus somebody that it doesn't have the fortitude to push onward, upward, goodward, and Godward. And so we come on the show every week with a message that just a reminder that it's your life, your health, your choice. It's a reminder that if you're dealing with stuff and you can't navigate your stuff because you're too emotionally attached to you, call us, 281-554-8600. Be a part of what we're doing. Let us help you, serve you, build you. When's the last time you went on our website and took one of our quizzes to make sure that your sleep is where it is or your cravings and energy is where it is? When's the last time that you did a detox program? We teach 42 days a year. When's the last time you had enough water? You know, I had a lady come in 2 weeks ago, and she goes, tell all your patients this. This was amazing to me. I wanted to do a detox. My husband says I don't drink enough water. And so I started drinking water, and I started drinking water, and I started drinking more water. And she goes, I had literally 10 hours. Every hour, I was drinking 16 ounces of water. And it took 10 hours for me to finally saturate enough to go pee. I mean, I've had 60 ounces of water this morning, and I had to pee before I left for the show, 30 minutes, to get here, and I was a little late this morning, and I mean, I'm shaking my legs because I got to pee. Oh, wait a second. Everybody's going to see that. Y'all all thought that I just shook my legs because I'm all full of energy. No, it's because I have to pee every
all the time. It's like the Hulk. That's my secret.
That's right.
I always have to go. Always on the edge of your seat. Okay, so if you ever want to go back and listen to these past episodes of the Living Well podcast, all you got to do is search Just Live Well on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. There's like 10 other places that you can get it. Wherever you get your podcast from, just search Just Live Well. Make sure you subscribe, and you can listen and go back. Go back and listen to these. There's dozens, hundreds. I don't know how many there are. Dr. Chapa has been coming on for years, several years now, and there's a lot of great information, and it's accessible to you for free. There's something I wanted to bring up. Yesterday I had AJ with Hippie Fertilizing in, and I saw the promo that you did for him with the stuff at your house, which is awesome. I love it.
My daughter made that in like 7 minutes.
Well, she's good. She's a wizard. Like her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
What's her YouTube channel?
Well, she's got several now. Sparkle Fantasies one. Sparkle and Friends is one. She had one of her little. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the link. But I mean, she had one go viral. It's like got 500,000 views or something.
Awesome.
And I'm like, dang, dude, like if I could only tap into that. And she goes, you just got to keep doing it, Jen. You just got to keep doing it, and you got to keep pushing it out there. And I mean, she's 15 years old and
Yeah.
has been doing YouTube videos. If you go look her like Sparkle and Friends stuff, I mean, you can see her when she's a little kid with her teeth all crazy and everything, and she's just developing into an amazing human, and I'm just really excited to watch her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she made that in 7 minutes, and because AJ had dropped some a fertilizer by the house and said, "Hey, you drop this on your yard." And so I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll say this is how one way I could say thank you is to make him a little promo video."
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. So AJ was in yesterday, and we were talking about clover, and that's the thing. There's like these little nodes and this stuff, and it's actually good for the yard. It has nitrogen, which is one of the things that people pay a lot of money to put in there because it greens the grass and it's natural.
Yeah.
And so whenever you put these Kellers on there, it kills that stuff, and it ends up doing more damage in the long run. So to me, I'm like, that's like sometimes the antibiotics, the parallel right there. And he was saying, so whenever like the disease and the chinch bugs and the brown patch comes and you're not prepared, it can knock out your whole yard, as opposed to like it's just a spot, because it's coming. That's what he said.
That's right.
The attacks are coming. It just depends if it's going to knock out your entire grass, your yard, and kill it, or it's just going to be one little spot, and you're going to be prepared to come back and grow even better.
Yeah, and that's a truth to the soil conversation. How rich is your soil? How rich is your soil in your yard, your garden? How rich is the soil that you're developing healthy crops in your body, which is what? Your organ systems, your nervous system, your endocrine system that we've been talking about all morning. And when I went bird watching with a friend of mine, and he always would show me everything that I could eat, and I at first was a little apprehensive, but I got to thinking about it. I'm like, I said, I have a whole arsenal full of herbs and food-based things that I can eat that are supplemental, that I trust wholeheartedly. Why can't I trust this guy's guidance? Because this is what his passion is. And frankly, probably more, if I was in a survival situation, he would live longer than I would, because he knows what he can and can't eat. He's played the game.
So you're out there, you're watching birds, and you're watching the plants and herbs and stuff around. You're like, what can I eat this? Or trying it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We were out there just eating all kinds of different grasses and stuff. And he was telling me the very same thing, that all clover is some of the best things that you could eat as well. And so if we could have a whole yard full of clovers, that would be an indicator that you have the healthiest of soils. And although your homeowners association probably wouldn't like it,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, you've got a healthy soil. Isn't it funny how we literally live in this fake facade of health? Like we put forth that what Botox is, and what all these skin things that we do to ourselves to plump ourselves up to anti-age or whatnot, or the cosmetic issues, things that people do to their bodies to make themselves look younger, more, vibrant. That stuff can catch up with you, right? But it's a facade. Why can't we embrace aging? And please understand, like I'm 41 and I see a gray hair and I'm like, oh no, this, and I'm like thinking I'm getting old, and but then I'm always reminded that no, like the centenarian story, 60 to 95, those are the primes. So I haven't even made it to my prime yet. So how exciting is that? And why don't we learn to embrace the aging process and appreciate it for what it is? Why do we freak out because our hair color changes, or nose hairs grow, or our ear hair grows, or whatever? You know what I mean? But I know, I get it. I remember a pastor one time said, about makeup and stuff that women wear. He said, "Hey, listen, I totally get it. Some of it's toxic and not good for your skin, but no one has ever said a barn painted looked bad." It always looks better with a coat of paint on it. So I guess, his message was coat them up. And I've always learned that there's a couple things you never tell my lady patients, which is the predominant source of decision-making power for all health decisions in the home. So that's the predominant practice that I serve. And it is that you never tell them to get off, stop using makeup, and you never tell them to stop dyeing their hair. Just two things you're going to deal with. And now we can start, with things like Beauty Counter and these other healthier style makeups. You can find better quality makeups, and they've come a long way. And so it's not, it doesn't look cheesy or not quality enough. And it's for sure less toxic. So, I mean, there's definitely ways to enhance it. It's just like our food. If you're buying, canned food, man, let's upgrade. Let's go to at least fresh food. If you can, let's go to organic fresh, or organic frozen. Let's get away from some of the lesser qualities if we can and upgrade. And
the degree of change, like I would say.
That's right. One degree leads to another degree, leads to another degree, and all life works out a little bit better for your body's cells. And all the cells want good nutrition. And so when your taste buds are craving junk food, stop eating junk food, number one, and jump on some Gymnema, or feeling like they need to drive your ship. And because a lot of time that just means that your minerals are low and your food quality is not saturated with nutrition, phytonutrients, phytochemicals that help you feel better about life and what you got to put into the day.
Another thing that you were talking about was the centenarian. They have something to live for. You just mentioned that a lot of the patients, they may be ladies and they're decision makers. And then going back a little further, you were talking about finding something that's worth it. So is your health worth it? And sometimes moms and those decision makers,
yes.
they're taking care of everybody else. But if you think about it, what you teach your kids and what they see is what is all that they'll know. Like I have friends, they don't know how to cook. I mean, that was me. My mom took care of everything for me, like washing my clothes and every meal. And then when I moved out the house, I'm like, I don't know how to do much because my mom just loved me and she was taking care of it. But, that's another decision it's worth to teach them at a younger age these things, like you're doing with your kids, Dr. Chapa. They know, hey, I got this going on. Oh, I need this supplement.
Yeah.
This is real food. This is not.
And what was really cool, so just to play into that is we never do what we want to do. We only do what we know how to do. And we, my parents' generation were taught to, make sure the next generation, my generation, were born with silver spoons in our mouth. I mean, they took very, very good care of us, and helped, take those stresses and burdens that they grew up with off our plate. But again, going back to that, there's a difference between destructive stress. Obviously, we all want as parents to remove the destructive stresses from our kids' upbringing. But we should be okay allowing some of the U stresses, the EU stress that helps to drive heat shock proteins, which is an immune modulating, capacity, or there's something that helps them learn, like you said, a new skill going into their, next evolution of life. Like my kids at first, they took products pinned down with me prying their mouth open, saying, my wife going, "It's okay. We did this to your brother and sister. They turned out fine." And and now. Ellie runs out the back. She's 5, runs out the back door last night, and she goes, "Mom, and Aunt Cassie, guess what happened? We just took 2 droppers. I just took 2 droppers of INF Fighter, and I liked it." And if anybody knows my office, Weed Botanicals, Echinacea, Chaparral, Golden Seal, these aren't like candy flavored, vitamins, right? These are potent, pungent, astringent herbs. They are bitter, bitter, bitter. And I mean, they will turn your cheeks inside out if you're not ready for it. But yet she knows what to do at 5 whenever she's feeling a little down. This weekend, we were with some folks, and one of their kids got sick, and Kinley comes to the aid, and she pulls, boom, 5 different products together. She knows tools to use whenever things aren't feeling good. They know how to cook. Why? Because I'm okay with them making messes in the kitchen. Now, because they're also going to learn how to clean it up. But I remember reading a book one time that said, I was raised in a home, and every time that my dad or I would spill something, my dad would yell at the top of his lungs, or my mom would yell at the top of her lungs, or whatever. And then the person was, indicating that, at the end of the day, it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, you make a mess and you do what?
Clean it up.
Yeah. I mean, there's an answer. And so big whoop-de-doo if, stuff gets knocked off. I mean, one morning at 5:30 in the morning, I had a shake that I had just made, and I closed the refrigerator, and I turned too fast and whacked that thing, and that shake went everywhere. And I was just like, well, that sucked. But at 5:30 in the morning, what do? Nobody else is awake. Nobody else is going to help me clean it up. You start cleaning it up. I was like, dogs, can y'all come help lick some of this up? And they kind of come over, looked at it, smelled it, and walked away. And I'm like, what do I pay you for? I thought y'all were garbage disposal.
They're like, celery,
and,
no thanks.
Yeah, that's right. And so that stuff happens. So if you break something, or if you dirty up a pan, I think it's good to see kids learning how to flip pancakes, or follow a recipe, learning how to use the big mixer so that they know never to put their hands in there, or how to enhance a recipe, or how to use spices. You've got to get them in the game of it. Let you tell them what to do. And oftentimes we're just so darn busy that we'd rather do it ourselves instead of allow them a learning opportunity. But ultimately, it sabotages them. It's like, now you're going to have a child forever because they get stuck in that mindset of, oh, well, mom and dad's going to take care of it. Or whenever they do get of age, instead of cooking their own food, what do they wind up doing? Buying all the fake food, processed food, junk food, and garbage foods that are readily available.
That's what I did. I had my friend who I was like 19 or 20 or something like that, living on my own, and he taught me how to wash clothes, and he taught me how to cook, but he only knew what he was shown how to do. And so it was like fried Spam and ramen noodles. And so we were living like kings, 35 cents, didn't have any money, but not the healthiest choices at that age.
That's right. Well, and I think that it is, again, goes back to how we started the show with the importance of good mentorship, good, people that we're allowing to be a part of our dream team. And I had a mentor teach me how to manage my business finances to make sure we keep the office always living on old money. That way we're never going into debt. And then making sure, to the point where he taught me he taught me how he runs his closet. Where he can go in his closet in the dark and pull the next shirt and the next shorts or next pants and grab his shoes and go, and they would match, because that's how detailed he is. He's like, you learn this in habit books. To create habits, the reason it's so hard sometimes is because of the neurological stimulation of that new pathway over and over again to develop that process. There's a lot of demands nutritionally to create that pathway, and so it's hard at first. But once you get to that unconscious competency state where you don't even think about it, it's easy. And so he came over to the house, and we pulled out every article of clothing that I had, and then we sorted it and put it all back in and set it up. And he goes, and this is how you do this, and this is how you do this. And I still today run my closet that way, to the point where I'm to the point now in my career where, I understand marketing. Everybody's shirt right now that they have on has some logo of somebody on it. And I thought, well, shoot, man, if I'm gonna have to wear clothes and I have to run my own business,
might as well.
I might as well make it my own stuff.
Yeah.
I want every one of my T-shirts to have my logo on it. Man, I want every pair of underwear to have my logo on it. I'm not there yet, but I'll let you know.
Getting there. And, I want a pair whenever you do.
It's absolutely
organic.
I will
living well.
It'll be an organic, living well, beautiful piece of material.
Yeah.
And but the goal is to create these patterns earlier in life so we can do that for our kids. But even if it's new to you and you're worried whenever the fever strikes in the middle of the night or the leg swells up because it won't heal, or let's ask the question, or if you take one of our protocols and you feel something that you're uncomfortable with or uncertain about, let's not throw the baby out the bathwater and say, oh, shame, side effect, bad product, bad protocol, bad program. Let's go, why is my body responding the way it is? And I always tell patients that if I can get your body to respond that way using food, we got a game to play. We got some good work that we can do. Your body's carrying some burden, some issue that we can get under control if just given enough time to unravel the mess. I had a guy yesterday, I'm so excited. When I started with him 8 months ago, I think, 9 months ago, I can't remember, I could only drop essential oils on him. That's it. He couldn't handle supplements. He threw away from another clinician $1,000 worth of product products I would have happily used. Okay, that I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt were good products, but he threw the baby out the bathwater. He came in very guarded, very uncertain, very distrusting of pills and programs because he'd already just threw $1,000 of stuff away and said he had a couple $1,000 of medical bills because he blamed the program for his hospitalization. Okay, impossible. We expect no claims because we're feeding you. We're not pushing your body or manipulating your body, right? And today he's on 4 products and mostly mineral-based saturation products, and he's not where he wants to be, but he's light years beyond where he was, where he could only tolerate 10, 15 drops of an essential oil. I mean, dude, people are sick. We've got to be mindful. If that's where we have to start, then that's where we start. We are willing to get into the game with you. If you'll let us, we'll sit alongside you and we'll help you figure out, navigate how to get out of the funky, filthy, trashy place that you're in your health. We can pull you out of that rut. We can help guide you to the promised land so that you live better, feel better day in and day out. And that's an encouraging thing to note. And so I always want to encourage people that wherever they are, stay vigilant to the idea that your body is communicating a message to you. So make sure that you communicate that message back to one of us, your clinicians, so that we can help lead you forward out of that place to a better place, because it's not a bad thing that your body's giving you a check engine light. That's a sign of your weakness.
And your body's working.
It's working. And that's what gets me all excited inside. And I just, encourage people to keep on keeping on. And so when we're, in the trenches with our patients, we are actively listening and actively turning stones and running ideas through your biochemical makeup in order to influence you emotionally, in order to influence you structurally, to influence your toxic pathways that might be all jammed up. We are looking to maximize glandular efficiency. We are looking to stimulate your nervous system to the nth degree. We want to maximize those 2 platforms, because when those 2 platforms, your nervous system and your hormonal system, your neuroendocrine axis, when it's in check and intact, your body's going to feel better. It's going to perform better. You're going to de-stress. And therefore, when you put in good, healthy stresses along the way, or you approach like a new project, or you approach a new job, or you have a steep learning curve, you're going to be more apt to handle those situations instead of react to those situations. And that is a wonderful place to be. You feel empowered whenever you're able to get into the trenches and navigate through the challenges of growth. And there's where people learn to fall in love with the process, because they don't feel overwhelmed by it. They feel challenged by it, but your body and your mind and your spirit loves challenges. It loves creating ideas and creating solutions. And so speaking those things that are not as though they were is an important part. You have to have a vision of what you want it to look like. So what do you want your health to look like after you've built it? What do you want your family to look like after you come to a quote-unquote chapter end, because there's chapters of family, right? I pray right now for I have prayers and prayers and prayers for these things written down for not just my kids' spouses. I do pray for their spouses, but I also pray for my future in-laws, that I get along with, my kids' choice. I get along with the parents of the spouse. Why? Because I believe in family. I believe that I can have a family so tight together, Gardy, that nothing could tear us apart. I want just this dynamic, family integration where there's a deep level of love, respect, and appreciation for the choices that each one of us are making and going through, and that we're there for each other when, stuff and challenges happen, and not in a position where, oh, well, I haven't seen you in forever, never talked to you, forever, and maybe, get together once a year, once every couple of years, you know what I mean? Like, where you're never really tapped in. Like, I want something different. I believe something different can happen. And it's okay if it doesn't even happen in my lifetime, but what if I sow enough of those family seeds that it begins to happen in my offspring? Those are the generational blessings that we can pass on. And it's just like what you're talking about. Teach them as much as you can as a parent. Learn as much as you can so that you can keep teaching. Learn as much as you can as a grandparent so that you can keep teaching. Don't stop. Why stop? You're here. You're present. Be present. Be alive. Be full of vim, vigor, and vip. Get the vitality curve up. Get the longevity curve intact so that you can be the best, live the best, and perform at your best. So this is Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, and we are excited that you are tuned in, that you are subscribed, that you are sharing this message with your friends, family, and loved ones. We want you to be a part of everything that we do. We have monthly seminars. We have class, that class time where the community, the tribe can come together and see that it's not just you out there fighting in the trenches, trying to figure this and navigate this health journey out. We are there with you. We have a class coming up this Monday night. And we're going to be talking about our food coaching program. We're still in the introductory phase of what that looks like. So we're excited about our food coaching program at Living Well, and we want everybody to be there at 6:30 Monday night. And a part of the idea is to get the community of people rallied up around the power of food, because all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone that drives your health forward, onward, upward, goodward, and Godward. And we want you to feel good, live good, and be good every bite that you take. And so we know that if we can teach you the power of food, then you will live your best life. And so give us a call, 281-554-8600. Be a part of our website, justlivewell.com. We've got some great health surveys available up there. And we always are here live on Tuesday mornings. We are recording and maximizing our digital space for you to subscribe and come back to. And I'll let Gardy give us the tidbits on that. But I'm just excited to be a part of each and every one of your lives, even if I can't see you. One of the coolest things that I've learned about this microphone is it talks to everybody and talks to nobody. It's so interesting. And I love just kind of learning this space and being a part of it with Gardy, KHEA Radio, and where all the different platforms that we're able to get this message out to.
So you can search Just Live Well on Spotify, search Just Live Well on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. You can go back and listen to this today. This is KHEA Radio 99.